Welcome to episode number 50. Can you believe it? 50 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube, as always, with my co-host at Our Trading Cards, Ben Wilson. We have at Junkwax Twin, Stefan Loeffler.
I see this is where I'd say hi, but you muted me.
I did. How are we doing tonight, fellas?
Doing great. Ready for episode 52.
Yeah, we're getting close, huh?
2 weeks away. It's amazing.
It really is. It's crazy. We started with episode 0, so that kind of counted in to where we are now. Yeah, so we're a little off, but 50, it's a pretty awesome number. And I'm just excited, man, that we've hung out this long. We figured this would last just a few episodes, and we would be done with it, right? So,
see, this just proves that someone can hang out with Ben for a year and not get blocked. And
that's
Tim won't just outright
nobody ever said anything about not getting muted. We just said hanging out. That's good enough.
Well, and also
baby steps there.
Yeah, we are a podcast by collectors for collectors, hoping to bring you a smart, insightful podcast and an insightful and being insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. So there we go.
To do that.
Specific. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. And check out the new website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. We just posted our review on Topps Big League Baseball, so check that out. So, we already got into it, guys. I'm excited. We have, I think, a good show this week. We have some interesting topics. We're a little light on some new releases, so it's going to be a lot of us and not a ton of release information. But we start off with some sad news this past week. We've lost Hall of Fame quarterback Bart Starr. He passed away 3 days ago. He was the two-time Super Bowl champ, Green Bay Packers quarterback. Kind of a legend. I think they won 5 or 6 NFL titles altogether and kind of was the leader of that team, good old number 15. And he also was their head coach at one point in time. So
a longtime rival of my Minnesota Vikings, but rivalry aside, it's sad to see a passing of a football legend.
Yeah, especially when it was him. He was 85. He was one of the most recognizable names, and just a cool name. Played quarterback at Alabama. Do you think some of the guys have been through there? Yeah. Oh, Auburn, huh? Yeah. And then also, too, just the next day, a couple days ago, we lost Bill Buckner. He was 69. He was fighting Lou's body dementia. He'd been battling that for some time. He had a 22-year career with 5 teams: the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Red Sox, Angels, and my Royals. At the end of his career. What team do you associate Buckner with? When you think Bill Buckner, what's the first team that pops in your mind?
Red Sox.
The rookie hits me, so Dodgers, 1970, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's correct. I think Cubs.
Red Sox for sure.
I always think Cubs with his big mustache and him winning the batting title there.
He's a unique guy because none of those answers are wrong. I mean, I default to the Red Sox obviously because of the 1986 World Series, but if you said any of those teams, it's not wrong. Yep.
He had career games with 3 or more strikeouts. Who had more career games with 3 or more strikeouts, Bill Buckner or Tony Gwynn?
You're predisposed to say Tony Gwynn just because of the fact that he was such a hitting machine and so methodic. But that obviously means that it's not Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, Steph just pulled it up. Career games with 3 or more strikeouts. Adam Dunn, 173. He's an all-time leader. Ichiro had 22. Fernando Tatis Jr., who's only played this season, has 2. Tony Gwynn had 1 in his entire career, and Bill Buckner, 0. This is an interesting stat from the Ace of Spader.
That's just tremendous when you think about. It's unfortunate that his career will boil down to one play in one game. Granted, it was a World Series game. But he was injured and shouldn't have been in that game to begin with. And that's how people are going to remember him. It's synonymous at this point.
Yeah, he was a one-time All-Star. I think 1981. He won the NL batting title in 1980. He had 2,715 hits in his major league career, and people just remember one play of one game from that World Series. And even Mookie Wilson, I mean, he came out and he's the one that hit the ball to Buckner and said that that he was much more than that. And I saw tweets from his former teammates saying what a great teammate player he was. And George Brett. Obviously, I follow George Brett said, if you knew what he had to do every day to go out on his ankles and play, you would respect this guy above any other teammate you've ever had. He did have some ankle injuries that kind of limit him. He one time was a stolen base dude early in his career before he injured those ankles. So,
listen to this stat. So they were talking about it on the radio yesterday, and in his career, he had 453 career strikeouts. That's it. 22 years. Chris Davis of the Orioles has struck out 444 times since 2017. So 2017, 18, and thus far in 2019 is almost identical. Not to mention he had another 427 from 15 and 16 by itself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he literally has 4 times as many in his career, which has spanned 12 years. 4 times as many. That is absolutely absurd. And again, Buckner was a tremendous player, but if you've been on Twitter the last couple of days, the outpouring of respect and love and his kindness and generosity with his time, it went far beyond his ability to be able to.
Coolest Tom. He made Tom Selleck's mustache look prepubescent. That's
and his nickname was Buck. I mean, it's just like he's laying up against a 1986 Camaro. Wearing his,
hamburger hanging out, gold chains,
wearing a Red Sox gear because he's a ball player with his, his belt bottoms. And what's your name, dude? I'm Buck. What do you do for a living? I play baseball.
I get singles, baby. Hit double.
Dude, I mean, what woman wouldn't want? I mean, he should have had his own, 1984 Hasselhoff show.
Yes. Oh, look at the Korean cardboard hanging out with us. What's up, dude? That's amazing. I'm glad you're able to hang out with us for a few minutes in between classes. So we're going to get into it the week that was last week's releases. Topps Living Week 62. We have card 187, the Lorenzo Cain of the Brewers, sold one shy of 2,800. Card 188, Nick Senzel, rookie outfielder of the Reds, sold 4,700 on the nose. And card 189, Hunter Dozier, third baseman, Royals, sold 28.79, so just a little bit more than Locaine. So check out at Topps Living Stat for full breakdown of where these cards fall respectively in the set by team and by position. We also
I got a question. Yeah. Did you just call him Dozier?
Isn't it Dozier? Dozier?
I always thought it was like Brian Dozier.
Oh, maybe it is Dozier. I don't get to watch Royals games here because they're never on TV. So
I've heard it both ways. Somebody called him Dozier the other day, and I'm just like, is that like calling Rob Piccolo, Rob Piccolo, or Gene Tennis, Gene Tenace? It's like, come on, dude.
Gene Tenace sounds way cooler. All right, Hunter Dozier, third baseman of Royals. And why is everybody named Hunter now? Anyway, we also have 2019 Panini Legacy Football Drop, 2019 Topps Pro Debut Baseball, which if you watch the stacks that Chris Torres had of his cards, it made my head sweat because he was doing some wizardry when he was sorting his cards. And we had also 2018-19 Upper Deck Chronology. I almost said it again. Hockey come out last week. So this week's hot off the presses, the new releases, week 62. Card 190, Justin Turner, third baseman for those Los Angeles Dodgers. 191, Carter Keyboom, rookie shortstop of the Washington Nationals. And I don't understand this one. Card 192, Wade Davis, pitcher, Colorado Rockies, former Royal great. So Keyboom, I think, kind of already his hype kind of flared out a little bit already. But, yeah, it's kind of when he's your lead of the week.
Which might make him more valuable only because people are kind of, they might look at this week and move on. I mean, if you overlook it, you might want to grab him just to be safe if that's your thing.
Yeah.
For let alone someone that's not even in the majors at the moment, I don't think.
I've been a couple of weeks from what I understand. I think they got sent down on the 7th of May.
Yeah. So maybe a late design on that. Well, also, guys, I hope you have your pennies and your nickels saved. My cap, real quick, my cap tonight is the Tennessee Smokies. It's a minor league team. I got it because it's for Tim Shepler. I hope you saved your pennies.
I didn't.
And your dollars and your $5 and your $1,000 bills, because Definitive came out this week. 2019 Topps Definitive. You're going to see about an $1,100 price tag for a box. Yeah, it's 1 pack per box, 8 cards per pack. So it makes each card, you break it down at, say, $1,080, which is a price I saw pretty consistently. It's $135 a card. So you're going to get 6 autos and or relics and 2 mem cards in your box. There's no real true base set. Everything in the product comes with an autograph or multiple or a memorabilia piece. And they look for the on-card signatures along with premium swatches. We were talking about this pre-show, and Ben compared it to National Treasures with a license.
Yeah, it's very, very generic. It's got a white border, and then it's got like a blue stripe or a green stripe to decipher your parallels. But with the cost of this box, especially following up from Tier 1, which was released 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's another hit-based product. I would have just expected more. And we were talking before the show that, for a Chris Davis, which I was looking at, if I could grab one for $8 to $10, fine. But if it's going to cost me $20 to $30, there's just no associated value. It just, to me, they're just very generic and I think Steph said lazy, which is great.
Yeah, they're just really bland. For what you're paying, you'd expect something more.
Yeah, for that cost. If this is $200 a box, okay. If you're going to be able to grab singles for $10, $15, $20, great. But it's $1,000 a box, and you're going to have to get singles in the $20, $30 range on the low end if it's just a relic numbered out of 35 of, a good to star player, maybe not a superstar player or a hot rookie. And that's why I use Chris Davis as an example. His relic out of 35 should probably sell for $8 to $10 based on the look and design. But, I would imagine it's going to sell for 2 to 3 times that because people are looking to try to get their money back. And it's not our job to pay somebody to cover their internal rate of return so that they can insure themselves to at least a break even.
Well, Cardi C in the chat asked, is there much difference between Definitive and Luminaries? They look exactly the same. I mean,
not really.
No, I would say not really. They're very similar product. And the fact is, I think this should be like, I believe this should come out later in the year.
Absolutely. Closer to 5-star.
Yeah.
Well, and Triple Threads used to be coming out right around March or April. We talked about that on a past show. It's gotten pushed back into like August. Tier 1, Museum Collection, Triple Thread should all be released together. Definitive, Luminaries, Panini Flawless all should be released with 5-star towards October and November. That's how it was a few years back, at least, where as the year went on, the calendar year, things got more and more expensive.
Yeah. Just interesting. Also this week, 2019 Panini Leather and Lumber baseball drops, $225 a box, 4 packs per box, 10 cards per pack. In your box break, 4 autos, 4 mem, 15 inserts, and 2 parallels. You should see a 100-card base set. There's no checklist, even though the product's out and you can buy it today. It marks the first time that a full set has been released since 2005. They've been used, this Leather and Lumber has been used a couple of times over the past few years as an insert. Now it's a hit-heavy product with each hobby pack averaging an autograph and a mem card. There's a load of die cuts. So cool die cut cards in here. Just stinks that there's no checklist, because we were talking, if you want to get in some of these, and you want to buy a break, you don't even know really who to expect on your team. Or if you're trying to go secondary market and trying to build, a certain insert set because you like the way it looks, good luck, because there's no checklist. There'll probably be one tomorrow or Friday, but the set's already out. People are already busting cases.
And that's something that, again, we spoke about before the show is, as a team collector, do I buy into a break, hoping to get everything that my heart desires off that checklist, or do I gobble it up on the secondary market? The issue with that being is I don't know. I don't know what's the best decision for me. If you're looking for certain players in this product, again, we don't know. We don't know the depth of the checklist. I will say one thing, that looking at some of the inserts that are already listed, seeing names like Yogi Berra and Ken Boyer is kind of exciting.
Yeah,
because they're names that aren't very common on most checklists. So it's kind of neat to see some diversity.
hold on, fellas.
And for what it's worth, it looks like there's going to be retail.
Nah, not bad.
Oh, here
Yeah.
we go. I went to Panini's website.
I couldn't find it there earlier. I looked around 5 o'clock our time, which is about 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I did, and I looked on a few of the major websites an hour or so ago, and nothing was there. Boom, checklist is up, and so it's there now. But
Well, that's good. Yeah, I looked a couple hours ago because I had sent out a tweet saying there was no checklist, and then I was like, wait a minute, I've only looked at Beckett, Cardboard Connection. I might want to look at Panini's website, thinking that.
I just dropped the checklist in the chat, so
Perfect.
yeah, and there you go.
And that's how I will be spending the rest of my night.
Hey, there you go. At least you have something planned.
Did you actually click on it to make sure that it's up there?
Yep. It downloads an Excel file, and I have the Excel file right in front of me here. Looks like Steven Biscotti's got an autographed gold card out of 20. Okay.
So because it made me do it, you have to hit baseball 2019 Panini and then leather and lumber naturally.
What's brewing? Next week's release is 2018-19 Upper Deck SP Authentic Hockey, 2018-19 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection Hockey. That's weird. Those are coming out the same week, right? 2019 Topps Finest Baseball, 2018 Leaf Trinity Baseball. Okay. 2019 Panini Luminance Football. So those will all be out next week. Infield Chatter, guys, our hobby talk section. As we get in tonight, one of our best listeners. Oh, real quick, my students are amused watching you live. Can you say hi to the girls? Hello,
Hi, girls.
How's it going?
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. Love it. Dub, our buddy Dub Joey, has got an article in next Beckett's June release. So he tweeted out, guys, this is an absolute dream come true. As a 12-year-old, I read articles in Beckett and over until the next issue came out June 12th. Won't get here fast enough. He's done stuff for the website before, but he's going to have an actual article in the magazine. And like I said, I buy the magazine occasionally and just for the articles. So this is what I'm going to buy, and hopefully he'll be kind enough to autograph it and send it back my way to go with my Brent Williams cover that I've autographed, where he shows up Shohei Ohtani. So that's very cool. Congratulations, Dub. That's awesome.
Yeah, and there's really no one else who wasn't more deserving before he got his issue. He puts out some really great
Night Owl Cards has an article about 75 Topps, his favorite set, and former guest on the show, Cardboard Icons Ben Aguirre, the best Ben we've ever had on the show, and he used to be occasional writer for Beckett, and he had some articles back in the day with him. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I love when we see our friends getting published, and that's awesome. Speaking of that, there was an article posted late today by Rich Mueller of Sports Card Collectors Daily. The Enters Your Stomach returning to Vegas for 2019. The Sports Collecting Business to Business Conference is hosted by Beckett. They purchased a few years ago, had been held there annually in the spring before shifting to Dallas last year. And before I know, it had been the Hawaii conference, I believe, in the early 90s. The 19 Summit will be held September 15th to the 18th at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Hotel. Managing and co-hosting the event will be Ray Schulte, President and CEO of Schulte Marketing and PR, and Ted Barker, Senior Sales Exec at Beckett Media. The event will offer networking with hobby shops and other retailers from around the country. There's going to be one-on-one sessions with reps from the manufacturers, access to distributors and industry service providers, business sessions and panel discussions. Beckett and Summit and the Summit leadership say they're planning on emphasis on featuring best practices and information sharing. Now, my one thing is on this, when they say representative from manufacturers, we all know that Brian Gray's kind of like been persona non grata there, but he's been very outspoken when he's gone to these in the past. Panini basically was just a Panini event last year, if I'm not mistaken, and because Topps had their summit already in Arizona when they had their Transcendent party with Trout, and I know that Upper Deck has been doing, started their own party, and they kind of parted ways and kind of killed the summit last year when it was just kind of Panini show. So I don't know if Topps and Upper Deck will be there or Indoor Leaf. It'll be interesting to see.
So I just want to go on record as saying bring it back to Dallas.
Yeah, it's because it's down the street. No one wants to go vacation in Dallas in September, bro.
And yet I still didn't go. But that's another story.
Yeah. So just interesting. So a little inside hobby knowledge there. And then also, now Steph, pull this up. Cryptozoic steps up.
Yes, they did.
They really did. Now they're a non-sport provider. They're usually doing entertainment cards, if you want to call it. That's what they are. They sent out a message, and I'm going to pull it up here so you guys can see. It says they sent out to a huge Steven's Universe. I'm not sure what Steven Universe is, but
it's kind of a cartoon in the vein. You know the animation style.
Okay.
If you saw it,
fans of Cryptozoic. So we're upset as the rest of the SU community learned that a piece of a sketch card art from our upcoming trading card release was copied from another artist. We find this completely unacceptable and do not allow any cards from our sets to be copied by other works of art by other artists. This card was still in our possession at Cryptozoic, and we have taken necessary steps to destroy it. Our sketch cards are permitted to be based on screenshots from the show. Otherwise, they should be the artist's own interpretation of the characters. With nearly 100 artists work on the Steven Universe set and producing thousands of amazing sketch cards, and we unfortunately will miss the single card that was based on someone else's work. We apologize and take full responsibility. We have re-reviewed the artist's work, and there is no other cards that are copied fan art. We are fans first. We are a fans first company, so we appreciate hearing from fans and remain committed to producing an amazing trading card product based on the series. We have involved the team behind the show as much as possible, and we have embraced our own obsession with the series to make something Steven Universe fans will love and be proud to own. Sincerely, Cryptozoic team. Amazing. Now, guys, I mean, that's huge, right?
Absolutely.
They owned a mistake that was made. It's a Cartoon Network show. It looks cool. Looks like a little fat kid. Looks like a buddy of mine, maybe. Might have to check this out. But do you guys think that Topps or Panini would or could ever do this?
So, I mean, there's a lot of work for a similar type set that you'd have to do to be able to be 100% foolproof. You'd have to be able to check DeviantArt. You'd have to be able to check the darker lurkings of the interweb to make sure that some of these images didn't get previously posted. So they've got a momentous task as compared to, just being able to go on Getty Images and saying, hey, was this something that they took? Can we use it? Okay. So I absolutely applaud that they stood up and said, hey, this was brought to our attention. Here's the proof. We've been given proof where we've destroyed the card. We've checked everything else, verified that it's not fan art. And, maybe in the future they don't go with that person anymore. But I don't see it as an issue so much in the sport realm just because...
Well, what about autographs? I mean, that's kind of where I was leading towards is...
Well, in the autographs, you see what Panini did with the Dak Prescott whatnots, and Topps tried to kind of do with the Chris Bryant situation, where they released it in a different product despite having it, using it for Lord knows what.
Yeah.
It's definitely a interesting proposal and an interesting headache for them to have to deal with.
No,
It's nice that
I think it was
stepped
just something good that they did. They stepped up and did something.
Yeah, you would hope that Topps has museum collection. They commission different artwork for that and a few other releases. So you would hope that Topps or Panini would do the same thing as Cryptozoic. But
well, then what about that product they released? I think last year, 2 years back, where the autos were all streaky and they recalled them. Topps.
yeah, that I forget which product that was. But yeah, I mean it's definitely possible. I think they re-released a whole set of that later in the year. It was like a duplicate set that had better autographs in it. But this is copyright. This border, now you're starting to get into plagiarism, things like that. Now you have a legality of it. So for Cryptozoic to call themselves out and say, hey, shame on this person that we're doing business with. It's not going to happen again, and we don't stand behind that. Got to commend them for coming out and saying that, and you'd hope that the rest of the industry would as well if faced with something similar.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's just I love them actually doing something about it. So Topps Total, we kind of got wave 1 out and about, and it's everywhere now. And at Topps Total, a friend of the show tweeted out this week some information. I saw a report of less than 5K print run for wave 2 of Topps Total. I was very surprising considering the discovery of autographs in wave 1 and an email showing Vlad Jr. and Judge autos for wave 2. However, Topps website shows the print run to be 7531, which is up 1,500 or so from wave 2, or from wave 1 to wave 2. There's about $1,500 jump in packs. Currently, wave 1 base cards are going for about $3 a pop. There are 6 confirmed auto subjects in wave 1 per Ryan Cracknell: Trout, Acuna, Tatis Jr., Pablo Lopez, Victor Robles, and Clint Frazier. Some are not like the others. And it's weird because Trout, Acuna, and Tatis are 1, 2, and 3, and then the others are like a middle of the checklist. So, what do you guys think so far as seeing Topps Total? I know we saw some chipping or some flaking of coverage, the coating of the cards last week. But what do you guys think now that it's been out a little bit, more of it's been opened up and shared across the interwebs?
I like the design. I hate the distribution method still.
Yeah, I haven't held any in person. I watched you open that up, Tim, and I've seen obviously some on the secondary market. They look better than expected. The backs still leave a lot to be desired with the back design versus what they used to be. But overall, it's okay. But I'm sorry, if you're buying these at $3 a piece, which, full disclosure, I am. So at the sake of sounding like a hypocrite, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is not a $90 to $100 team set, which is ultimately what I've chosen to pay. But at the end of the day, this really should have been something, as we discussed. This should have come in at $20 at most for a 30 to 35 card team set, which ultimately that's what this set is designed to be. And I've seen wave 1 complete set selling for $125, which pushes you well over $1,000 for the complete 900 card run. The good news is people that bought packs, you're going to get a lot of parallels, at least from wave 1, and it looks like possibly wave 2, because they've got to pack out the 1,600 guaranteed parallels, which are the reds out of 10, the blacks out of 5, and the 101 golds. Those have to be in there. Tim, yourself, how many did you end up pulling?
10 packs. I had 3 parallels, 1 of 1 Byron Buxton of the Twins, a 5 of 5 Clayton Kershaw, and Devin Travis out of red out of 10.
It was like a 2 out of 10 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So, but that goes to my.
By the way, I loved opening it. It was sweet to open.
Should have filmed it.
I did. It's on the YouTube. It's on TBS Sports Cards on YouTube. Check out TBS Sports Cards for all your wave 1 needs. No, I mean, to be honest, I'm gonna let you guys know. So I sell cards, and I did a separate handle and everything for it, and I have base cards at $199, and a little more expensive on some of the higher end guys. But I'm also have I think it's buy 3 get 3 free, something like that going on with that. Buy 1 get 4 free right now on certain things, and that one is by. Let's see. Anyway, so check it out. If you guys are looking for those, hit me up on Twitter or even Big Shep, and we can work something out. So I'm not here to take advantage of the market or anything. I bought them and they were fun to open. I didn't pull an autograph, but I had fun opening them and I wanted to see what they are. I bought wave 2 and 3 now. So yeah, we can work something out. It kind of leads into we talk about these kind of cards and they don't have like any stats on them. It's more of information on the back of the cards about the player and the set. So we were talking like with players like Shohei, who are hitters who get hitting and pitching stats. What stats should be on the back of their base cards?
Well, and that's something that popped into my head the other day. Is like, you see all of the cards for the players who played like 22 years, like the back of Nolan Ryan's 93, 94 cards, where he's got, lines and lines and lines of stats. Not that Ohtani's been in the league for a long time, and he could probably split them and have, hitting stats, pitching stats. Stats is the word, not stats.
Yeah, like real quick, here's an 81 Tug McGraw, and look at all those seasons back there.
So, you'd like to think that these players would like their stats shown on the back of their card. Well, in cases like him, and we're starting to see it a little bit more often now, of players that do both. Which do you show?
I think it's a really. You're right, Ohtani. You probably still could show at least last year's batting and pitching totals, but isn't it dependent upon what the card is? I mean, if you're showing him as a pitcher, you show his pitcher stats. If you're showing him as a designated hitter,
but his card is like pitcher / DH.
But what is the image that you're showing? Is
that's true. I mean, but then it leads to variations now too.
You very well could have it. Why wouldn't you capitalize on that if you're Topps or Panini and have image variations with different stats?
Yeah,
I mean, it really. Why couldn't you switch too? I mean, you always theoretically could have him twice in the same checklist.
And well, they also have now the cybermetric, parallel version cards and advanced. I think they call them advanced stats. So but why are those stats aren't the base stats, and then the home runs variation? So I don't know. I thought it was an interesting topic. I think for guys like a Shohei, where it is a limited sample size, you could do both. You could do variations. It's just an interesting question, and I think it's something to ponder and see what they go through if Shohei can play more than 5 years.
Christian Ponder or
Christian Ponder? What?
He said it's something to ponder.
Oh,
Christian Ponder. He's making the Minnesota Vikings joke.
Yeah, it's all about Samantha. He's not even the best ponder. Sam Ponder is like way better than he is.
This is true.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys follow these. I know you follow one of them. You follow all these guys. So there were some fellas that went to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And they shared all their travels together, but they really showed off the shoebox treasures. So our buddy Mark Hoyle, at Mark Hoyle 4, at Mark Armour 04, at Saber SABR, and at Andrew Ehrenstein, they visited the Baseball Hall of Fame and they showed off that Showbox Treasures exhibit. And they had a ton of great photos. So these are the fellas here that went out and did it. Did you guys check out some of the stuff that they had in the Hall of Fame? There was a Tim Carroll piece of art. He had the Sandy Koufax piece of artwork that he made. He remade the 55 Koufax and out of other cards. These guys,
55, I think.
55, and they had tons and tons. There was a thing where it was like a pullout, like a metal pullout that had like a ton of different cards. It looked like a big giant binder page of cards, and there were like 10 or 12 of these. There's a Tim Carroll piece right there. Steph has it pulled up, made out of other cards. I mean, just tons of fan artwork in there, tons of old cards, cameras that were used to take the photos. It made me really was like, God, such an addition to the Hall of Fame. I mean, the Hall of Fame was already cool anyway, but all the information about the cards that are there. And then too, they showed some shops and some card shops in town. So it was pretty a pretty neat visit. So if you haven't, check out those guys on Twitter. We will share their information so you guys can hopefully follow them. And
the one that was worth mentioning, given that we were talking about off-brand sets, Mark Hoyle, we've mentioned in the past, pretty prolific Red Sox collector. Mark Moore, equally, I think he collects the Red Sox, but he's a huge baseball historian. And then Aaron Aronstein is the son of the person who put together TCMA.
Oh, okay. That's
So,
awesome.
Not nice little card hobby history there.
No, that's really cool.
What did you guys see that DM that Mark Hoyle had sent us? Because we had that conversation a few weeks back. If you had a choice to go to the National or Cooperstown, assuming that I think we might have prefaced it, assuming you haven't been to either. And I think, Tim, you were on the side of I'm going to the National, I being on the side of I'm going to Cooperstown. Mark had said if given the choice now, he would definitely choose Cooperstown hands down now that he's been there and seen the history. And the National is great, of course. Not that I've been, but it's just a supersized card show with everybody there. But Cooperstown, it's different. And now that there's a card, exhibit, it brings in that part of us as well, not just the baseball fan, but the card collecting side.
No, definitely. And doing that was just talking about collecting cards. Someone posed to us this week about collecting vintage. And if you had a kid now, how would you get them involved in collecting vintage cards? Or even if they were say how would you get them in, when we're talking vintage, we're talking what, pre-80s, right? Not pre-1980.
Yeah. 1979 is your cutoff.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, and that I think that works with me as well. I feel like we're to that point. But how would you get a youngster involved in collecting cards from 40 years or older?
Well, if they're my kids, I know damn well that they'll probably end up liking history and historical facts and seeing the sights and sounds and everything else. And the best way to add and supplement that, one, it teaches cards you can use for basic math and arithmetic and even some advanced mathing, if you will. I can't think of my words here, but the card backs as well. If you're going to do historical stuff and vintage type stuff, you're going to want to make a connection to that. Show them cards with huge blocks of text that on this date he had this, that, and this. On this date, hey, here's this. Hey, this person was born on your birthday. You might want to collect him. Sorry, not collecting Mike Schmidt. Regardless of the fact that he was born in my hometown, birthday, and Angela's hometown, my wife. Or buy out some of the Hall of Fame sets that have been released recently with details about their career and what years they went in the Hall of Fame and things like that. Make a connection for them.
Yeah. And okay, so I like it. I mean, that's definitely, I love the history of the game. And I think one big part of that, like if you showed them Ken Burns, the baseball documentary.
Exactly.
When I was a kid,
they're talking about Ty Cobb. Here's a Ty Cobb.
I watched that thing before you could streaming and all this stuff. I mean, you had to sit down. My grandpa record it for me on VHS and mail it out to me so I could watch it. And I learned about Jackie Robinson, and God's honest truth, I owned a Brooklyn Dodger hat. Giants fan and all, I had a Brooklyn Dodger hat because of Jackie Robinson and watching that documentary. It was awesome. And that's how I think you get started. And, you just kind of let them fill it out, ask questions and be involved. And like how awesome Ted Williams was, that he was in a plane crash and he was in 2 wars. And in Korea, he crashed his plane because he didn't want to eject and hurt his knees. So he crashed a plane that had been shot up and was on fire and walked away. Like, that's insane. That's crazy. But if you're a new collector, say you're an old guy like Ben and I, and you're new to collecting, and you're coming in during the new era and this hit era, where would you start a vintage PC?
Yeah, I think the Ken Burns documentary is a great way to get people who aren't familiar with history excited about names of yesteryear, because right now we're collecting players that we know because we can turn the television on and watch, regardless of sport, right? Everybody wants Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant and LeBron James because those are the big names. James Harden, right? Giannis. But what about those players of the 1980s? Because those players were there, right? Magic and Jordan and Bird and so on and so forth. And to watch a documentary is a great way. But if you want to get into vintage, start small. Obviously, grabbing some of the rookie cards of the 70s, whether it be Schmidt, Brett, Yount, Dawson, so many of those great guys. Or if you wanted to go, our friend Ben Aguirre had mentioned Willie Mays. He's got some from the 70s that are extremely affordable. You don't jump in trying to grab a 52. It's not going to happen. Most of us will die without owning that. So why not grab some of those early 70s, late 60s mantles? You don't even have to jump off that cliff yet. You can just go grab some of the more affordable players, some of their, 3rd, 4th, 5th year cards. Go grab the Frank Robinsons.
Yeah.
Guys that are $8-10 a piece. I've got a 52 Duke Schneider. He's probably the most well-known name of that era that I personally might ever own from that particular set. So why not grab him, and grab him in low grade? Because even if you don't ever want to upgrade, at least it's something that fits your particular budget. And grab
about PSA grading.
That's right. Grab some lots. Go grab. I did that with 1968. Just grab 20, 30 of them at a time to have some, and then you'll kind of find your way with what set speaks to you, that's affordable in everybody's respective budget.
When I started doing all my top sets, I pretty much had everything from 79 through current, and I was like, I'm never going to be able to do 78, 77, back. And at a card show a few years ago, I went through, and one of the dealers had team bags full of 1971 tops for $3 a bag. And it's just a stack of them. And then he goes, there's no dupes. He goes, they're in condition. And so I bought them all and started building a 71 set. And then all of a sudden my LCS got in a couple monster boxes, a bunch of mid-70s stuff that he was selling that wasn't in great, they weren't in great condition. And I started diving into that, and how much fun I've been having running down vintage singles of guys I've never heard of, or 2, I'm like, oh, he's a coach now. Like that's how I know him.
Right.
And then you're just sitting there looking and reading the back of the cards like I did when I was a kid. It was crazy, and how much fun I've had to put those sets together. And, it's been, I guess I could have done a more financially responsible way and gone out and just bought a complete set. But I can tell you how much more fun I've had going through and piecing it, sitting down at a shop and digging, or a show, and digging through a box of high numbers and trying to find those few that I can get and afford, and just a ton of fun. And that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, hit me up with some of those 66 and 67 high numbers.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and I was going to hit on one of Ben's points there, where he's added that, go back and view some of the vintage sets and find what you like. And not necessarily the PSA 10s or the Beckett grading service 10s. Go for the league leaders.
Yeah, dude,
That's
cards
still
are so big. You can get a home run card from like 64, and it's got 3 Hall of Famers on it. It's like $10.
exactly.
And you're like, I have, like I think there's one where I have it's Mays, Aaron, and Frank Robinson. No, Mays, Aaron. I don't remember. There's like Hall of Famers galore on these cards,
And
and
the majority of them are.
yeah, and no one seems to care about them. They want the base rookie, and it's like, okay, everything else kind of unless it says Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays on by themselves. And I know I love it. And Ground Chuck here said I completed my 64 Topps Giants oversized set this year. It's a perfect way to collect vintage in an affordable manner. I just started my 70 Topps set now too. Yeah, I got a 300 count box here, 70s Topps I bought from a show a few months ago. I haven't even gone through yet. And so it's so much fun.
A card that came up the other day that I think you don't get today. You're talking about a lot of those top 10 cards on each checklist from year to year, which have all the league leaders, which have 1, 2, 3 Hall of Famers or well-known players. And you can get those extremely affordable. But a card that popped up in a Facebook group the other day I thought was fantastic was in 1971 Topps number 664. The 3 players' names, Archie Reynolds, Bob Reynolds, Ken Reynolds. And somebody's like, that's the Reynolds wrap card. And it's like, here you have rookie stars, pitchers from the Angels, Expos, and Phillies, all with the last name Reynolds. It's probably not a super, you probably get it for about $8 because it's a high number, but it's a fun card to have. And if you're just getting back into the hobby, looking to collect some vintage, having stuff like that, having a lot of those batting leaders, stolen base leaders, the 1972 in action, the when they were boys cards from 72 and 73, those are awesome.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to start. It's a good way to pick up a Mickey Mantle card for super cheap. I grabbed one from the mid 60s. I forget which year. I think it might have been 66 or 63. I don't recall, but it was home run leaders, and Mantle was on there along with an Oakland A, or Kansas City A, I should say, excuse me. And so I had to pay like $11 for it. But for me, it's part of my Kansas City / Oakland collection. But it's also a Mickey Mantle card, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And it's affordable for any budget to pick up a $10 card in low grade raw. And it gets you excited. Okay, I've got a Mickey Mantle card with 3 other players on it. What kind of Mickey Mantle card could I get by himself in my price range? And explore your budget and what fits in there, whether it be a 68 Topps, 69 Topps, or one of the all-star cards, something along those lines.
Yeah, and so it's just one of those things. I think getting knowledge on it and just kind of seeing and try not to be crazy about it. I mean, yeah, don't try to run down a 52 Mantle or see, that's a good looking card, Bob Johnson.
You want a cheap Yankees card? Here's one. Now, unfortunately, it's a high number for 70, and those are a little bit tougher than most. But 3 quote-unquote nobodies, but this was the last card that I needed for this set. And, I value it more than most of the others that I have in that set. Just because you get attached to looking for Bill Zapp and Klinkowski and Bob Johnson in any form. And then when you finally pick it up, it's a nice touch and a nice addition. Because you learn more about the guys the more you search for them.
Yep.
And it's a nice throwback to the hobby.
Yeah, when I was looking for my 62 Dan Pfister rookie card, nobody knew who Dan Pfister was, but it was a multiplayer rookie card, high numbers with Jim Bouton. And so a couple shows ago, Tim and I are walking around, and that's what I was after. I was after that one card. And those are fun because he wrote Ball 4.
Yep.
And so even though it's, again, part of my A's collection, it's kind of neat to also have a Jim Bouton rookie card because of his connection to the sport of baseball. And, vintage baseball is much more collectible than vintage basketball or football is, at least on a industry hobby level. But there's plenty of great vintage football sets, and you can go back and get Walter Payton or OJ Simpson's rookie, stuff like that. So vintage isn't just baseball, but obviously that would be the great equalizer, across the board, I would imagine.
The funny thing, you mentioned OJ's rookie. So a few years ago, when I collected football quite a bit, I really enjoyed it, and now I don't. And so I really don't actively collect it. But I wanted the first pick of every draft from the common era. So from 60, 69 on, or 68 on, 69, anyway, to through 15. And the last two I needed, Terry Bradshaw and OJ Simpson. And I still need Bradshaw, but I found a Simpson the other day, the LCS, for like $10, and it was in decent shape. And no, it's been a fun chase going back and like learning about some of these older players, and where what happened to their careers, and guys you never heard of. And so in the chat, Foul 5 Ball said, I recently completed a 59 Topps baseball master set with all the errors and variations. Woo!
That's big time,
dude.
That absolutely is.
How long did that take?
And what condition? I asked him in the chat the average condition of each card, because there's still some quite expensive cards in 59. I mean, just the stuff like the Mantle and the Maze, even though they would be 8 years in by that point, those cards aren't cheap. When we're talking $50, $60, $70 maybe in a low to mid range raw. But when you're picking up 10, 15, 20 of those at that price, Musial, K-Line, there's probably a few guys in that checklist that, even if they were all $10 a pop, you're still looking at a couple $100.
No, that's still awesome. I love that. Yeah, I don't ever go beyond 70. I'll collect my 69 Royals and then older Giants team sets, from 52,
of course,
to 69. But I probably won't have a lot of the Maze cards. I don't personally own any individual Maze cards myself, but my little fat 14-month-old has a 60, a 61, a 60, a 61, and a 64. So
you're saying you want me to dig you out a Willie Mays?
Yeah, if you have a Willie Mays, send it my way. My way.
Well, and I sent him the checklist, super meticulous, by Richard Dingman. I posted in chat so anyone else can see it as well. But I mean, he has it down to, on 30% of the cards, there's a red little blob on this top left corner section of the card, and where it is for each set from like the 40s through about 75 or so, if I'm not mistaken.
What insane asylum does he live in?
The one that I want to go visit, because I'd like to rack his brain on some of these.
Good Lord. This guy made Steph just look almost normal. Jake from NorCal. What's up, Jake? For each of you, what is your favorite card that would be considered worthless in terms of monetary value, but by most collectors? I can answer Ben's for him. 1986, Eric Davis.
I actually am friends with Eric Davis on Facebook, and
it's his birthday.
Hit him up the other day. Yeah, it is. And Charlie Hayes, I'm friends with him on Facebook. It's his birthday as well. But
11 years. Breaking news: 11 years to build that 59 set. That's a lot shorter than I expected to hear.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be
I want to see pictures.
Yeah, definitely tweet us out pictures if you're on Twitter. That we'd love to see that and share that.
We would love to hear that.
I hit up Eric Davis and I told him, a little bit of the backstory about why that card is so valuable to me, and the fact I've got one hanging on my wall in my garage. And I was like, dude, if there's any way you have a PO box or something, I could send you one to have you sign. I think that would be, even though I'm not a big in person through the mail, that might be one that I would love to have signed. And I told him, but as an A's fan, I'm not a big fan of 1990. But congratulations, and he just threw me a thumbs up in the DM and did not give me an address. So I might have to hit him up again and go, come on.
Well, there's got to be some of those TTM guys out there that
Probably
might have his address.
That might have the address or a way to get it. They also offer. I mean, I know I see a lot with like private signings these guys do, where you can send them in and they'll sit down and sign them all, or you can send it to them and make a charity donation. Say here's $10 to donate to your charity of your choice, which could be whatever. That's awesome.
Choice.
Yeah, what's your stuff?
To answer, since Ben answered his, and I'm sure you're trying to rack up and figure out which one you want to save most, Tim. There, 81 Fleer Nordhagen.
Yeah, you love Wayne.
I do. One, because it got me into the hobby. 2, from the hometown. 3, I have, in all likelihood, have the bat that's pictured on the card. And 4, it's not super expensive by any stretch of the imagination. And, if anything's going to get me to collect a Chicago White Sox card, it's that.
Yep. So I have 2, and I'm really torn, but they're different sports. Can I have 2? The first one is a 1970, 77 Topps Don Calhoun running back for the New England Patriots. And he is the first kid my grandpa coached that made it to the NFL.
That's awesome.
And he coached 2. The other was Barry Sanders. Actually coached 3. Byron Sanders, Barry's older brother, but he kind of flamed out with the Bears. But it was Don Calhoun. Got to know him. He used to be – what happened to him, he played with Sam Bam Cunningham, Randall's older brother. And he had a couple pretty good years. And his agent stole all of his money. He was able to buy his mom a house, but then his agent stole all of his money and lost it. And he ended up becoming a garbage man and worked my neighborhood when I was a kid. So I actually got to meet him and talk with him because he was just a few years older than my mom and dad. And got to know him, and I would go out and say, and dude would run behind the truck and throw the barrel, empty the cans in, set them down, and then run behind the dude. Was in phenomenal shape. And he ended up working it with my aunt at a high school as a custodian, and got to see him later in life. And super friendly guy. Doesn't say a lot. Doesn't talk about much about his playing career. The other is a 93 Topps Kurt Knudsen, relief pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. He used to hang out at my LCS when I was a kid in Folsom, called Coach's Corner, the guy that owned it, Mel Fogelman, Cowboy. He was an awesome man. But Kurt used to hang out, play at the University of Miami, played a few years, told good stories about Sparky Anderson, and is a police officer now for Folsom PD. So he drives around town, yelling at people. So those are 2 cards that are commons, and I find them all the time that I always pick up just because I have personal relationships with the people on them.
So on the first one, are you sure he's not the garbage picking, field goal kicking Philadelphia Eagle?
No.
And if you don't get that reference, I'm sorry. You had a miserable childhood.
No. And while I have a third too named Dave Staten, any of his 92 Topps, I think he's on. He's on a few, but he actually worked for me at Best Buy for a few years. So he played with Tony Gwynn. So that's awesome. Ben had a great question for us all, and I think it ties in here with collecting vintage. What is the oldest set you reasonably could piece together? So when you mean piece together, you're talking about buying small lots or singles here and there, or a starter set. I know our buddy Cards from the Attic has a ton of 70s cards he's looking to move, and they're mostly starter sets. So
I would say, probably, to preface it, first off, it works out great that Foul Ball in the chat room brought up the 59 set because it's a great segue. Took him 11 years. We don't know what it cost him, but in time, at least, the TLC of things. I would say if you're going to acquire a starter set, probably no more than 25%. Let's go out right now and buy one, and no more than 25% to get us started. What would be the oldest one reasonably that could be pieced together? I would say most of the 70s probably could be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm doing it. And I'm not trying to break the bank over here doing it. And it's very doable.
I've got a good portion of the 68 top set, which of course has the Nolan Ryan, got a Johnny Bench, got a couple other big boys, Seaver's rookie cup card. But once you get past that, it's got the late Mays, the late Mantle, quite a few stars that are in the twilight of their career. I think 68 could be pieced together if you could get those top 3 to 5 cards for under $400. If you can get your Ryan for about 200 and get a bench for around 45, $50, I think you could probably piece together 68 for. I think if you're $1,000 into it, you would have a good portion of the set.
Yeah,
at least 70+%.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I just, I think going back really any farther than that would be pretty difficult to keep it under $1,000 to build the set.
At least for a major name base set, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
some of those high numbers are going to be what kill. It might not be the stars. It could be the no-name high numbers that beat the hell out of you.
Could be. I mean, finding them in a good, not only affordable, but in a good enough condition.
Shape.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I was piecing together my 71 O-Pee-Chee team set, and our friend Mark Hoyle hits me up and he goes, "Dude, those high numbers, that last 8 of those on the checklist, they're going to get you, man." He goes, "First off, you've got to find them, and then you've got to find them in good condition." And so a lot of times, and we've talked about this before, it's not an issue of cost necessarily. It's go find one. I mean, it can
when you're down to like 4 or 5 cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So focused on hunting down those cards. Like when I was finishing my 79 set, it was finding the 1979 Montreal Expos in the Los Angeles Dodgers team cards that didn't have. I needed a decent to better condition with no check marks on the back. And for whatever reason, those two, I always found them with just check marks or dog-eared corner, or they were round. Yeah, I could never find one that was in the shape that matched the rest of my 79 set and that didn't have, ink on the back. When I found them and finally got them, it was like, and I slid them into the pages, it was like, ooh.
See, here's, after talking to Mark, I looked up the last 8 I need. I need 9 cards to complete my 1971 O-Pee-Chee set. One being Reggie Jackson, which is his 3rd-year card. But I thought I'm not going to go out and blow a bunch of money on that when I still need Bobby Brooks and Jim Rowland and other guys, Don Mincher. I mean, who are these guys, right?
Yeah.
But I looked up Dick Williams, which is the last card in the A's team set, which is a high number, and somebody had one for like $35. And I'm just like, and Mark is right. I mean, these cards, these last 8 that I need, and really the only names on it is going to be Vita Blue and Paul Lindblad, outside of the 9th card, which is Reggie. But I mean, I might be looking at upwards of
baseball cards to draw you a 71 O-Pee-Chee Reggie.
The Reggie wasn't actually that expensive compared because it's low numbered. It's like number 20. It's number 20 in the set. And it's his 3rd-year card. You could probably get a low-grade one for under $40 without a problem. But it's those no names at the back half, and it's like Reggie will probably be one of the last ones I buy for that set. But that's the thing: is $400 it might be what it cost me to get the last 9 that I need for that team set. But a good way to maybe buy some of those is to use eBay bucks quarterly to buy down the cost of one of those big, high-priced.
If you guys aren't enrolled in that and you're buying on eBay, I missed out probably for 3 years of solid buying on eBay before I realized like I was a dum-dum and I wasn't earning my eBay bucks. It is the easiest thing to do to sign up for. It automatically calculates it. And then every quarter you get a chunk of change to go, and it does not last in anyone's account for longer than 24 hours because you have that card you're watching and you go, hey, I just got $12.82 in eBay bucks. It pays for a third of that card. I can justify buying that card now. Boom. Bought, sold, delivered. And you're like,
I got a rock.
right?
Last quarter, dude, I waited. They dropped on April 3rd. I waited till like the 7th or 8th because I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy. I was like, do I? Yeah, I had like $35. I'm like, do I buy down the price of a McGuire?
Boy. It's a lot.
I was like, I got a McGuire order. I'm watching for like $90. I'm like, I could buy it down. I could buy one high-priced card for $30 to $40 and get it free, or buy a couple of team sets, which is ultimately what I did. And they were parallel sets that were like $15 a piece, and that knocked off 70 cards off of my overall want list. And that's the only reason. But you're right. The second those things drop, and my dad's been asking me about that. When are we getting our next ones? I've got like all this money, and I'm like, dude, every quarter you get them on the 3rd day of the new quarter. Stop asking.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually it blows. And like at the end of June, you're gonna start loading up your watch list with stuff that you don't need, don't want. It's like eBay bucks are like going to Costco, where you're like, I'm just gonna go there for my jumbo-sized ketchup, and I need some laundry detergent. And then you walk past something and you look at it like Jim Carrey when he in Dumb and Dumber, when he realizes we landed on the moon. That amazement. That's what Costco buying is. You like, oh my gosh, no way, that's great.
This is what I do. I have my 4 or 5 things from Costco. I run through the store, get them, and I try to bully through the store to get the hell out of there under $100.
You have to put your head down in shame as you walk through Costco for whatever you're after. That's the only way. And you've got to avoid that middle section altogether, because that's what hooks you. And then next thing you know, you're buying a barbecue and a patio set, and you live in an apartment.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yep. No, Jake has a good question here. When you guys finish the set, do you guys feel more elation, relief, or sadness? I said all the above. I feel all of them.
Tanner Jones has a great meme. We'll have to, graphic where the highs and lows of finding the card, buying it, waiting for it, getting it. It really is like a drug high. You have that high end and that low, and completing a set, I would imagine, would be like winning the World Series, and then next week going, man, let's do it again. Let's find that next puzzle to complete.
Well, I mean, not everyone can be Jack Morris.
Yeah.
Going from one World Series to another, to a contender in a strike-shortened year.
It's like what Steve Kerr said after he won 3 championships with the Bulls and then won one right the next year with San Antonio when he ran from 96 through 99. And he goes, lucky me, I just keep following the best player in the league around and win championships that way.
Yep.
Yeah,
he was talking about Vinny Del Negro, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Kings legend Vinny Del Negro. So
yeah.
No, it's guys, it's been a quick show tonight. We're at 90. We're at 67 minutes. So I mean, I think Rich got to listen to the whole show tonight. So
I was gonna say, yeah, Rich is gonna have to live with it.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably brushing his teeth and getting his Matlock on.
Strangely, he listens to the investigative murder whatnot documentaries, so he's probably got those on. Just because the announcer has a really droning voice.
My wife,
do you remember that
watch like Wives with Knives and stuff right before we go to bed.
Do you remember that old John Clayton commercial for ESPN where he's like got like the long hair and he's listening to rock music and he's eating something in his bed? Yeah, and he's like yelling at his mom to like have his snack ready or something.
Yeah.
And it's completely out of character. That's what I see Rich, pumping out to Metallica at 9:15 at night.
It's like lifting crazy weights, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna get Ben tomorrow.
Yeah. Get a picture of him on the wall, like darts in it and stuff, and yeah.
It has to be music from the 60s, not Metallica, unfortunately.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, speaking of Rich, we're gonna have him on soon. We don't know a time or date yet. But real soon we're going to have him on for some awesome rookie card talk.
Probably
what is a rookie card, the change that was made after 06, and what's an XRC and true rookie card. So it should be a really fun conversation of who's right and who's right, which will be me.
Well, my thing is I wanted to be followed by Waxtopia, right? Like that was one of my, big thing, and that happened. And now my next check on the bucket list is actually sitting down and interviewing Mr. Rich. So
what you're saying is, much like you being followed by Waxtopia, I need to hook that up.
yes,
You do,
So,
and we need some
we're
awesome like WWE. We need some awesome WWE entrance music in this corner. You know, da 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 da. You know,
In the
we need
brown
some.
shorts and the no short.
You know,
yeah.
play Careless Whisper as Rich comes in.
No, yeah, I know it's exciting, and as we want to before we close out tonight, we hit show 52 in 2 weeks from today. We're going to do a little celebration. So we're working on some giveaway stuff to hand out. So that will be, let's see, that will be the 12th. That'll be 6/12. We'll have our 52nd episode. So we're going to do some giveaway stuff. We're still figuring out how to do that. We're probably going to do it live as well as post show, but we'll have a handful of prizes and we'll send those out, and it'll be a good time. And we're going to reminisce over the last year. I listened to the first episode today, episode 0, and not bad, but I was already salty early on talking about Acuna and Torres' short prints in Series 2, and then like a few days later pulled them from packs. So yeah, it was great. So yeah, it's fun to go back and hear. We've added theme music. We've gone through ups and downs, had happy and sad times, I think, on this show. Next week's the first week of the month, so that means we're gonna have our product or our brand.
Oh,
What's
Sorry
up?
to interrupt. I've been sorting a box of cards this entire time, and I just found. So when you're in elementary school, towards the end of the year, the teacher kind of gets a few things together for each individual kid and gives them a gift wrapped. Hey, here's a thing of Lisa Frank stickers. Here's a bunch of this. Here's a bunch of that.
Did you just drop Lisa Frank stickers?
Well, I mean, second, third grade. Anyway, my teacher gave me a 3-pack of 88 tops. And I just found the 3-pack back to back to back. Jeff Reardon, Joe Negro, and Tom Kelly.
There we go.
88. That's 88 Reardon. 88 Reardon.
88, 88, and 89 Tom Kelly.
Okay, because 88 Jeff Reardon is my number 2 behind 86 Eric Davis. Because I've told this story, but
absolutely trashed.
I've told this story before. My 3-year-old brother, because of Reardon's big beard, thought he looked like my dad, so that was his daddy card. Dude, you couldn't trade my brother for nothing. He didn't like baseball. He doesn't like cards, but that was his picture of daddy, his daddy card. And I tried everything just to see if I could get it from him. Not that I needed it or wanted it, but he would hold that thing like this. And that card was crumpled and nasty and garbled, but that was his card.
Yeah. So next week we're going to talk about score. So yeah,
that would be interesting.
Look at that mean old look too. Good Lord. Don't with me. I'm Jeff Reardon.
I think he was saves leader at the time, or recently dethroned.
Yeah, he was a stud by 88, 89. I mean, but yeah, that was a fun card in our household for a long time, and so I've thought about super PCing that card, or at least getting like a 9-card page of it, just because.
Yep, should, and then share it with the rest of us.
So we'll talk about the score next week. Real quick, Steph. One last question before we end tonight: Ron Gardenhire or TK? Who are you picking?
Gardy or TK, huh? Gardy for his fiery personality.
You only have one.
For his champion. Getting there. I'm putting down the qualifiers. Just chill. Gardy for his intensity and personality and tenacity for the game. TK for his knowledge, at least early going. But I mean, you got to go with the person who's brought the championship to Minnesota since the Lakers in the 50s. The last championship in Minnesota since 91.
Whew, you were just a youngster.
And like, a month after I was born, about the time I was being released.
For the record, that was Steph choosing not one but two guys. He's taking after me. Every time you ask me choose one, I've got to qualify it and have like 17 guys before I narrow it down. So
you ever listen to the first draft podcast with Mel and Todd, and they asked Mel a question to name one guy. He ends up naming like 17 guys. I love Mel Kiper. I'd have pumpkin pie with him any day. So final thoughts. I think we're there. Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, 10 Central. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. Follow Ben at our trading cards. Follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. You can always follow me at Big Shep 79 TBS Sports Cards on eBay. Please share your hobby stories, great polls, and send your questions our way. Keep collecting. We love it. We love the interaction, and it helps us build the show. I mean, a lot of this stuff comes from the listeners and stuff they post or retweet, and we snag and talk about, and we're like, oh, this would be a great thing for the show. So please continue to do so and share experiences. We love it.
From the listeners, your dad wants to know if he still looks like Jeff Reardon.
Yeah, what's Jeff Reardon look like today?
I don't know. My dad still has the beard, so there's that. It's just a lot more salt and pepper now.
All right, guys. Well, if that's it, we'll see you next week on episode 51. Until then, keep collecting. We'll talk to you later.